Hello and welcome to the 75th episode of the Not Your Mama's Gamer podcast, a podcast where we talk about games and gaming from a feminist perspective. My name is Samantha Blackman, and I'm an associate professor here at Purdue University in wonderful West Lafayette, Indiana, uh, where I talk about, think about, dream about, write about, amongst other things, video games. And I am joined tonight, as in every podcast night, by four wonderfully smart gamer academic women and one sleepless kid. So the sleepless kid is not going to introduce herself, but the wonderful four ladies that are joining me tonight will. Let's go in the order that we see on the bottom of our screen. How's that? Starting with Alex Lang.
Okay. Oh dear, I'm last in mine.
Well, I got Alex, Charlotte, Jen, and Sarah. How's that?
That's not what I had, but we'll go with it.
I'm Alex Lane. I'm a PhD candidate in T-minus 2 weeks. Going to be a PhD recipient. Hopefully. Perhaps. Maybe. If my dissertation advisor didn't lead me astray, yes, I'm blaming you already for my failure. I study gender issues in the video game industry and that sort of thing, and play lots of games. So that's me. And I had two other female women events tonight. I was at Girls' Night, and I was at a women's league for disc golf, so I had a busy night.
Fun.
Luckily, my hour late happened to be on time, so there we go.
Yeah, it worked out.
Amazingly enough.
Yeah, it's not that amazing.
not amazing. That's true.
Way to downplay it, Charlotte.
I'm just saying. All right, well, no, I meant because we always are late.
True.
Anyway, I'm Charlotte Hyde. I am a PhD student at Purdue University. I recently became a doctoral candidate, and I'm super excited about that. And your dissertation chair helped me with that also, so I'll give her that credit.
She's kind of the best, but don't tell her. Shush.
Well, she's on mute for some reason, so I guess I can say whatever I want. And I study, what do I study?
I heard that.
I study workplace communication, and I play with Legos, and my mother is starting to play with Legos, so I'm infecting people with this.
That is so awesome.
Yes. That is exactly as it should be.
Yes. Okay, who's next?
I'll go next. I'm Jen Justice. I'm a PhD student here at Purdue. I'm really not sure what I'm studying since it's my first year, but probably something to do with games and writing and how to teach with all of that, because composition is really my one and first pedagogical love. And I love my RPGs and my very obsessive little puzzle games that kill way too many hours of my day.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn. I'm Sarah Nixon. I am not a PhD student. I am an undergraduate student about to graduate in May, studying creative writing and professional writing, and looking to enter the industry as a scriptwriter, narrative designer, community manager, sort of anything and everything that doesn't involve coding, basically.
All right. See, that's everybody. So what we're going to do now is our usual, before we get to our issue of the week, is what you're playing, what you're reading, what you're drinking, which is also always the important part. Since I can't figure out what I'm playing yet, let's go in the order of introductions, and I'll go last. We'll start with Alex. What you playing, Alex?
Well, I've been playing my typical things that I've been playing the last time, I think, which is Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare and Hearthstone, but I have a new edition this week, which I started playing today, and then I ordered online, which is Zoo Tycoon on the Xbone. I know I'm a little late on it, and I don't give a shit what anybody has to say judgment-wise about it. I've been taking crap all day. It's no more or less nerdy than anything else. Okay. Hey, Jen. Yay. All right.
I got much work.
And I love it. I played it obsessively all day. It's what it is it reminds me a lot of Tropico, particularly Tropico 4, except it's on the console when I played it on the PC, obviously. But I love it. You set up, if you haven't played any of the Tycoons before, this one you set up your zoo and you got to keep everybody happy and you have to like put stuff in the exhibits. And I really like it. It's hands down, and Sam can attest to this, it is hands down my type of game. I got like Civ and Tropico. Those are the games that consistently over time I've been obsessed with, like where you build up your base. Like I remember the first game I felt this way about was in Command and Conquer. I don't know if you guys ever played that like on just like the PlayStation, but like the Command and Conquer, what do they call it? Just the little battles where you built up your base. You didn't have like a mission or anything. You just built up your base as big as you could. That's always what I dug. So I love it. I know other people don't dig it as much, but I love it.
Oh no, I spent like many hours not playing that one, but on the computer, yeah, with Zoo Tycoon.
I love Tycoons. They're some of my favorites.
It's really fun. I love that kind of stuff. I'd recommend to anybody. So I just ordered it today, and I was gonna get it when it first came out, but it was only on digital download, and I didn't want to take up all my space. And then I went to the store when it first came out, and it was still $55, so I wanted to wait a little bit. And today I ordered it for $30. So
Nice.
I think that's a win.
And that's always a bonus.
Indeed. So that's all I've been playing. I don't even have an indie game this week, so sorry, everybody. Fail. I've been playing plenty, just not plenty of that kind of stuff. Oh, and Titanfall. Titanfall's my new thing.
Oh, did you start Titanfall tonight?
We played it at a friend's house, and so I got a little taste of it. But I was going to pick it up today. I didn't have time because of all my other stuff going on, my other Wednesday commitments that I apparently scheduled over this, which I didn't mean to. But tomorrow. My goal is tomorrow.
All right, Charlotte?
Well, not much. Not much has happened. I've been playing Rayman, of course.
It's almost like you defended your prospectus or something. What are you doing?
It is, yeah. I'm playing Rayman. I'm annoyed with Rayman, which is not normal.
No.
Weird.
Yeah. I'm on a boss level that seems never ending, and I'm annoyed. Anyway, but I played that. I played Typewriter, which is part of the Humble Bundle. Not the weekly one, the other one. And it's sort of boring, but it's interesting in that I think it would be interesting to teach with, because it's really a beautiful game that talks about fonts, but after the first level it's sort of boring to me.
That's interesting.
A game about fonts.
Yeah, it's really pretty, and the music is awesome, and the graphics are awesome, and I really was digging it until I got to the second level and realized we were going to do the same thing again. And then I was sort of bored. But it's interesting. And then, as I wrote in my post, I wrote it yesterday, but I guess it published today. I've been testing the Amazon TV as console. And that's interesting.
Is that the Fire thing with
yeah.
Oh, you said you've been testing it?
Well, no, I have it. I bought it. And
I was like, you've been testing it. Did they give you one for free?
No, that would be great. No, I've been testing it. I didn't buy it for the game, so I've been testing it for the games. And it's okay. I mean, my Xbox controller works with it, so I didn't have to buy the $40 one. But
that's always nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
People have not had a whole lot of love for their controller anyway.
I'm sure not. No, I had The Walking Dead already because it was free, and so that plays just like it plays on any other console or PC or whatever. The other games I'm not so sure about because you're really just playing a Kindle game on a console, so it's not.
It's not that, and that always seems like a weird thing. I mean, because, like I said, a lot of those like games like Bejeweled and stuff.
Yeah.
I played a lot of on the 360 when P was a baby. because she would wake up in the middle of the night and I would need something that had music that was kind of calming.
Right.
Yeah.
So I played a lot of puzzle games while I was feeding her at odd hours of the night, and because she had such bad acid reflux, she had to sit upright
Mm-hmm.
for an hour after every feeding. So, we're talking about a 2-hour time span, and I needed something that I can play with, you know, without getting too into and cursing.
Right.
And so I
Well,
played a lot of puzzle games, and it was okay, but I could definitely not see why someone would, buy a console just to play those kinds of games.
right. And what I wrote about in my post was that I guess I could see how it could be useful, and Amazon is calling it a bonus. So they're not at this point trying to sell it as like the new, I don't know how to say it, the OU or whatever. Is that how you say it? The one
The
that was
original use or something.
no, like the sort of console that just came out that was a Kickstarter. It was like
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. They're not trying to say it's that, but they're just trying to say it's like a bonus. Which I agree, it's a bonus, I guess. It's not really for me. I mean, I have consoles all over the place, so I'm not really their market, probably. Anyway.
Maybe a bonus like for casual gaming type of.
Well, because a lot of the games that are available are hidden object, and I don't know why I want to do that on my TV, but
That seems like it'd be really clumsy on the TV.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's okay. Games like Walking Dead would be great, and I got Walking Dead for free, so I could see getting a game like that for free and being super happy about it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've been doing with games. So
Sorry, that was really bad timing on my part.
that's okay.
Sarah, do you mind?
Oh, sure, I can go ahead. It's kind of the end of semester crunch time, so I haven't been getting to play as much. But I played Sims 3 a while. Whenever I come into contact with my friend who's like obsessed with Sims, I feel like she always makes me want to play Sims again. So I just randomly started playing Sims. It's nice actually because there's this website called the Sims Resource, and you can people create their own sort of sim mods and then put them on there, and so you can download them, and anything from like hairstyles to like whole properties and such. And before, all the best content was something you had to pay for, but now it's all free, so it's really nice, and you can go and get a whole bunch of cool things, and it just makes you happy again. Like, you come back to The Sims, and you're like, look at all this cool new stuff, and then you play it for a while, and then you're like,
Does Mod the Sims not have a Sims 3?
Does what?
Does Mod the Sims not have a Sims 3, like, mod section?
I'm not sure.
'Cause
They
they had a ton of free resources for Sims 2,
Uh-huh.
and that was all player created.
I think I've only ever used the Sims resource, so I'm
Okay.
not sure.
They have to, though. It's been out for, what, like 4 years? I'm
Yeah,
sure they do.
it's been a
Well,
while.
the Sims 3 platform, like whatever they were using for the engine, was very different. It made it very difficult for players to create, so it was a lot slower kicking off.
Mhm.
But by now, you might want to check out Mod the Sims, all one word, because they tend to have some really good stuff.
Yeah, I'm always impressed with how people can mod. It's really nice. But I continue to play Mario Party every so often. That's always a fun fallback for me and my fiance. Just like vicious battle of Mario Party. And then we're talking about talking about Oregon Trail in class. So I was playing it. Reminiscing, I guess. It's there. I don't know. For some reason, even before class, I had just had this random urge to play Oregon Trail. It's like, then you were talking about your game being Oregon Trail-ish. So then I was like, no, I just want to play Oregon Trail.
That happens to me like a couple times a year, though. Like, there's a handful of games that I always get the pull to play every year a few times.
It's very strange. Oregon Trail, though. I don't think I'd thought about that game. Oh, at least 5 years. So it was really random, but when the
I'm glad I
urge
could help.
strikes. Yeah, it's fun though. So
Well, I, like Sarah, well, like all of us, I'm caught in the throes of end of the semester paper writing, and creating an Oregon Trail-based board game. So I haven't been able to play a whole bunch, but I have been kind of playing, kind of replaying Final Fantasy VII as kind of a stress killer in the downtime. So that's pretty much where all of my energy, my gaming energy, has been spent.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn.
Yep.
I was trying to figure out what I've been playing, and then I figured out what I've been playing.
ESO.
Yep, I've been playing a lot of ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. I posted about it this week because I've been playing with a guild of academics. I've actually been having a lot of fun playing it. Don't get it twisted. It is definitely an MMO at launch. So I spend a lot of time opening up doors and falling eternally and for an infinite amount of time through nothingness. I have found myself.
She's not lying. I was with her earlier, and that happened quite a few times.
I have found myself a couple of times stuck in floors and such. And they're like, well, just type /stuck, which kills you and makes you respawn the nearest Wayshire, and also, of course, does damage to your equipment. But you know what? Everybody knows what happens the first 30 days of an MMO. It's got bugs. And it's a Morrowind game, and if we remember back to Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind before that, then when they were at launch, they were replete with bugs as well. So that being said, I'm still having fun because of the people I'm playing with as well. And I have also been playing a whole metric crap ton of Bravely Default. Because I have. Are you shaking your head, Alex Lane?
I just can't believe you're still playing that game. It is pretty.
It's a good game, though.
It is
I don't care how
very
good of a
good
game it is. I'm sure there's plenty of good games, but there's 14-year-old sexualized girls in it.
They're
That's
not
so
14.
unlike you. It's not. I'm not judging. It's just so
Okay,
shocking to me.
They're not.
I'll judge you for plenty of things, but playing particular games is not one of them. I'm just shocked.
So I have rejuvenated 3 of the 4 required crystals, and of course after the 4th crystal there'll be another quest that I have to go on to finish the game. But I'm having a whole lot of fun playing that. And what else am I playing? Really not much of anything. I was behind and I hadn't played the 2nd episode of The Walking Dead yet, which I have downloaded now but still haven't played. And the 3rd episode of Wolf Among Us came out today, which I will probably end up playing before I play The Walking Dead, but I haven't played that either. So pretty much with, the end of the semester coming and all, I've only played ESO and Bravely Default for the most part, at least that I can remember. Oh, you know what? Is that a lie? No, that's it. Because I think I had already played Infamous Second Son last time we talked. Yeah. Because that's what I've been playing Infamous Second Son. So nothing new, really, under the sun. Yeah, we'll live. So that's all of us for what you're playing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody reading anything interesting? Games related?
Besides the thrilling articles I posted for you guys about gamification.
Besides those thrilling articles on gamification, absolutely.
We didn't
Just
read this week, so.
There was a really good article in the New York Times about women in technology that it was like 30 pages long, I imagine, in my mind. Although it was a website, so I don't know. But it was someone actually at Metro State sent it to me, which I thought was kind of nice. Like, hey, you'd be interested in this. I'm like, colleague. So, yeah. I haven't been reading anything. Anybody else?
I've been reading about program assessment, so
Oof.
it's not
I've been reading
exciting.
St. Augustine, so I'm far, far from gaming at the moment.
Well, it makes me a little tense right here thinking about Resident Evil.
Oh.
Sarah should be reading about games. What's up with that?
Well, we didn't do any reading this week.
Sam.
Well, we're in the
making
studio
games.
part of our course, so we're making games. So they're not reading. So it's not like I'm letting them slack off or anything, Charlotte.
I'm reading RPG Maker instructions.
There you go.
Well, I see your pictures on Facebook, and I want to come to the class.
I mean, if you want to make it a very twisted, convoluted type of connection, I've been reading the Buffy comics off and on.
Oh, see?
And since I've done fandom role-playing in that, I could maybe say that that's for gaming, but that's kind of a stretch.
Sounds like it's me. I don't think it's a stretch.
I've been reading the Fable comics. And what else have I been reading?
Did you read the one about me killing my whole family? Because I remember that. I tried the same thing as Zoo Tycoon today. The first thing I did was got on a buggy and tried to run over a family. Sam's like, what is wrong with you, you sociopath?
She was like, oh, they jumped out of the way.
It didn't stop me from trying.
I'm scared now. So.
Only now?
Yeah.
Well, don't you be very afraid of that when I'm telling you she's got some
Luckily,
issues.
90% of the time I'm on a bike, so it's all right.
Those hurt too. So let's see, Fable comics. What else have I been reading? I read Krista Charter's new book. I don't know if I had read that last time we chatted. I finished that.
Yeah, we talked because you didn't die, right?
Right. No, I didn't die. Hold on, baby. And that's probably about it.
I did read a Lego Movie novel in Target today.
The whole novel in Target?
Lego Movie novel?
No, I mean I didn't read the whole novel, but I read some of it, and it determined it was exactly like the Lego Movie, so I stopped reading. But yeah, there's a novel.
Interesting.
Huh.
Okay, so here's the fun part. What you drinking? Alex saying I saw your I
got some wine, but this hasn't been my drink of the night. My drink of the night, like I said, this is my fourth activity in a row. After celebrating Cody Reimer's winning of the PRF year-long. Congratulations to him. He deserves it, man. It's been gin and soda, which is my new drink. I hated gin all the way up until like a month ago when Ricky and Tristan bought me a bottle as a celebration for getting a job. And I'm like, I'll drink it. Gin and soda. So that's what I've been drinking all night. But I just switched to some wine. Decided to take it down for y'all. So.
Can I go next? I'll go next because mine comes off of hers.
Oh, very good. Is it a white wine spritzer?
I am drinking a white wine spritzer. However, I bought a bottle of gin because of you and the gin and soda I had at the Purdue reunion, which was
the most calorie effective, blood sugar effective drink you can have.
So I'm switching from after this bottle from wine and spritzer to gin and spritzer.
Are you really going?
I want to hear if you like it.
No, I do like it. I had it at the Purdue reunion and I liked it.
Right. So. Good. I'm so glad.
What are you saying, Sarah?
The love, because I hated it.
No, I loved it, but I love sparkling water. So
see, I hate gin.
So did I.
Part of my being.
Soda.
There's nothing
I hated gin.
Give me with gin that will make me like it.
Allergic?
I'm allergic to gin.
Oh wow! I didn't know you could be allergic to.
It's to juniper, because gin comes from juniper berries.
Oh.
So yeah, if you were actually to get scratched by juniper, the leaves or the needles, and if you got a reaction on your skin, you're probably allergic. But it's not super common. But yeah, I used to think that I used to think I was being really irresponsible if I had a drink that had gin in it, and then I'd feel the effects a million times faster than I ever thought I should. And
sounds amazing.
Because it's not so much. I skipped the fun reactions and went straight to the not so fun reactions. And so it was nice to find out why.
Well, that sucks. I can't have beer, which is pretty much all I lived for.
Me too. That's why I'm like with you, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
We're in
No
the same
beer.
boat. We're in the same boat. There's so many. Like today, there was the new Goose Island double IPA at
I
Sparrow.
can't even stand it. Everybody's like, have a beer, and I'm like, okay.
All I could do is smell it and then cry a little and die a little inside. But the gin and soda, it's very good.
Yeah, it's not as good as beer, but we'll take it.
But
So, anybody drinking beer?
Well, no, but I'm drinking a sea breeze.
That's close, I guess. Not really.
Not even close.
No.
No, vodka, cranberry, and grapefruit juice. So
I like that. It's good.
Sounds good.
It's a great summer drink.
Mm.
So
Nothing compares to the sneaky for a summer drink, but
You are absolutely right.
I have not experienced that, so
You
I
need to.
can't say.
it's
I
the
thought
only
that
time you've ever
sneaky
said I'm
was an
right about
all-year
anything is about drinks.
Somebody in our audience says, Tracy in our audience says, gin is for people who want to drink a Christmas tree. And Tracy is absolutely right, because that's exactly what it tastes like.
Tracy, you're right. You're right. But I was 100%. I couldn't hate it more, and was totally on that opinion until I tried a gin and soda. Gin and tonic didn't do it. Gin and ginger, or I don't know, whatever people tried. I thought it was disgusting. Gin and soda, man, it's a different ball game.
I agree. I agree with Alex, but I also am a little bit addicted to sparkling water, so
Right.
I like everything with sparkling water.
Carbonation makes everything better.
Yes, it does.
Truth.
Except gin.
Except gin.
No, we're saying it makes it fine.
No.
Yes, it does.
Totally drinkable.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not beer, but it's not bad.
Let's stop talking about beer. And now I'm sad in my heart.
Me too.
It's out of your heart. Well, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Mine is easy because we're heading toward the summer months. So I'm and since I was also celebrating earlier with Alex and Cody, I thought I'd continue on the vodka kick, and I'm having a sneaky.
What a surprise!
Hey. And I don't always have them. I just started having them again.
So
So
what
what?
a celebration today because my first day able to eat food for 10 days.
Oh.
I have not had food for 10 days until today.
You're wearing your
God.
you're wearing your shirt there, Alex.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I was wearing it the other day.
I love it.
What exactly is a sneaky?
It
What
is.
is a sneaky? It's like you've never listened to this podcast before.
It's lemonade and sweet tea flavored vodka.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So is that everybody on drinks?
Yeah.
Sarah,
No,
did you?
Sarah didn't go.
Oh.
I didn't go because I'm currently on drugs.
Oh.
I say that all the time. It never gets me out of trouble. What the hell?
Okay. So
Not illegal ones, we assume.
Oh yeah.
Oh, never mind.
You couldn't see my wink because my camera's off.
Your
So,
weed?
My wink.
Oh.
Wink.
her wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay. So Sarah's not drinking. So let's move into news.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cut out for just a second while Sarah runs through the news.
Okay. So, I don't know if you've heard of the Project Morpheus, which is going to be Sony's virtual reality system.
That's to answer Oculus Rift, right?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So, but it's been being discussed recently, and they basically confirmed today that this upcoming survival horror game, Cult County, will be supporting virtual reality. If it's a Kickstarter, though, so if it gets funded, then it will support the virtual reality.
Until it gets bought out by a big company and then they make millions of dollars off of it, right?
So it's going to be a survival horror virtual reality game if you play it with that. virtual reality system, which I think is really interesting and probably terrifying, to be honest. Originally, they had planned the game for to be on 3DS, but then it just kind of developed beyond what the 3DS could be capable of. So now it's going to like PS3, PS4, and computer and Xbone and such. So I'm interested to see how the virtual reality would work, especially in a horror game. Probably terrifyingly, I have to say.
In theory, yeah.
But maybe that's a good thing. I mean, I really enjoy horror games, but at the same time, they freak me out. So I don't know, good and bad.
I love horror games too, but I don't think I experience them quite like Charlotte does. She
I
has
was
a
gonna
unique
say-
experience.
I would love a horror game that actually freaked me out.
I've walked in. We were doing the 24-hour
You did
marathon.
walk in, but in my defense, that was in the middle of the night at Hevelon.
It was like 4 in the morning. She left the room where we all were to go sit by herself, and
Yes, in a dark room.
in a dark room, all by herself, kind of like I imagine you were like wrapped up like a burrito, and you were like trying to scare the shit out of yourself.
I was trying to, and it worked because Outcast is a scary fucking game.
You would have gone and smoked by yourself after that, if I remember correctly.
Yes. No. Well, I wouldn't smoke by myself because Sam wouldn't let me, so I had to take Ricky with me. But I did, in fact, go to try to scare myself, and it worked. But it worked because Outlast is a stellar horror game. It would not have worked if it was a cheesy horror game. I'm just saying.
No, that's fair enough.
That's totally fair.
And creepy Hevlon. We should start a rumor that Hevlon is haunted.
Well, there's a rumor that there's also people in there.
But there's a what?
So
A what?
there's people.
There's a homeless guy living in there.
People.
Oh, is that? I've heard about that.
Yeah, a homeless guy like walking around, so it's like scary.
It's totally true.
They were
So when you're in
talking
there
about-
in the dark playing by yourself, and Alex walks up and says, "Hey," and I ask, jump. It's normal.
Jump is in your pants.
I did not pee my pants.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, on that note,
News.
yes. So Nintendo held their Smash Bros. Direct conference today to give information about the upcoming release of Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. And we learned that the game will be released in the summer for 3DS and in the winter for Wii U. And I'm not really sure why it's at different times, but I don't know. Personally, I don't have a Wii U, so I'm like 3DS, yay, and it's earlier, and it looks really great. And they revealed that there are going to be new characters like Greninja from Pokemon XY is going to be in there. There will also be like it says that it'll connect to your network ID, so instead of having anonymous matches, it'll kind of connect and display your name, and there'll be a code of conduct, so you can play, you have to play nicely, I guess. And there's going to be new items, including Master Balls, which are like the original Pokeballs, but they're going to only summon rare Pokemon. Interesting. I think I don't know. Personally, I think that it looks really great. And also, the finishing move for the villager is apparently you summon Tom Nook and he builds a house around your opponent and then destroys the house. And it's just very fitting for Animal Crossing, I feel. And I'm pretty sure the whole Animal Crossing fandom was just cursing under their breath of Tom Nook. So that's funny. I don't know if any of you played The Last of Us, but it's coming remastered onto PS4. And they're adding just a little new content, I think. It says Left Behind single-player expansion, Abandoned Territories multiplayer map pack, and Reclaimed Territories pack. So, I don't know, personally, I feel like there's been a theme recently of remastering games, adding a little new content and then re-releasing. But I guess they were saying that the Tomb Raider one was worth it. So perhaps this one will be worth it too. And then last, the rumor of the week. So, yes. So the rumor of the week is that Microsoft is considering using an Xbox 360 emulator.
Yes, I'm so
on their
excited.
Xbox One.
If they'd done that to begin with, I would have bought it on launch day.
However, they don't know, there hasn't been any information about whether or not they're going to have to re-buy these to download them.
Oh, that's obnoxious.
Yeah,
So, I'm not sure.
That's a game changer, but
yeah.
had they done that on launch day, I wouldn't have canceled my pre-order. One of my big things was I have all this backlog. If I get a new one, I'll be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but having to rebuy it, no.
Yeah, I know. I think that kind of ruins it. Because the whole thing is that you're looking for backwards compatibility so that, you can condense your stuff onto one machine and continue playing your old games, but not have to then keep that system around.
Right.
Right.
And that's, the whole reason why backwards compatibility was nice. Like, for instance, when we had our PS3, we got one of the original ones that was backwards compatible, and that was nice because I decided to randomly replay like all of Final Fantasy X one time on it because our PS2 had broken, but then our PS3 ended up dying, and then to buy a reverse compatible PS3 now is really difficult and a lot more expensive.
Yeah, I'm really glad I got one of the backwards compatible ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'll have to pay like $5 million for it on eBay at this point.
No, it's crazy.
Well, what I dislike about it the most is that they give you these games that sort of like capture your heart. They make you invest, right? So like the thing that keeps coming up to my mind is Cold Step Saga, which y'all know I am completely obsessed with, but you only play on the 360. Or even like Skylanders, right? Like they get you to totally invest in this game, to buy all this extra shit, to like spend your time and whatever, and then they make it impossible to play. So it's all of a sudden it's like they take a world away from you, So it's like, well, I can't do this because your crappy machinery has quit on me now, and I bought your new thing, but it doesn't work, and so I don't know. I feel robbed. Like whenever this kind of stuff happens, I just feel like robbed from them. But
well, that's why I didn't buy it to begin with, because it's and still remains. I mean, we're like, what, 6 months into this or something?
Yeah.
It remains to me a $600 Dead Rising 3 game. There's no other incentive. No, not really.
Well, they had the Titanfall bundles for like, what, $450?
The problem is I don't care about Titanfall. I only care about Dead Rising 3 and all of my other 360 games.
See, but what you do is you buy the Titanfall bundle for $450, and then you trade Titanfall in and get Dead Rising.
Okay, so then it becomes a $450 game. Sam, $450 for a game. That's too much.
Well, the thing is though is that they are cycling out those last gen systems really fast. I mean, we've got games like right now coming out for the 360 and the PS3.
Yeah.
But if you look at the games that are coming out like more than 3 months from now, none of them are being released for the 360 and the PS3.
And maybe then I will think, hey, this is a good buy, but right now, it's still not.
Except Ubisoft, right? Because they committed to
Ubisoft
releasing on previous gen as well.
Well,
we'll see.
Ubisoft is not likely to release a new Raymond at this point because they just did. So they're already making me happy.
The Rayman isn't on the Xbone, right?
No. Yes, it is.
Not?
Yeah, it is.
Is it? Because
Yeah.
I couldn't. I went to 2 different stores and I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
gotta-
Easy to
it
like
is.
Google it, but
It's
It
got it.
is.
well, I couldn't find it. Maybe
You
it
should
was
look
sold
again.
at.
You look online.
It's
Just
sold.
'cause they were
It's
out-
sold out because it's awesome.
Clearly, you didn't try hard enough, Alex.
Yeah.
I
I went
didn't
to 2
try at
stores
all.
and they didn't have them, so I said
Sort of,
screw
like,
it.
tripped into a game aisle and was like, they don't have it for Xbox. I really didn't try very hard, but I was just like, that's weird. Because
You
they had
should-
it on 360, they had it on PS4.
You should try because it's awesome. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they have it. They have it.
It's a good couch co-op, which was what I'm always looking for. It's supposedly one of the best couch co-ops you can get. So.
It's one of the best games you can get.
I've never played one. I haven't played one since high school.
It's the best game ever in the world
Yeah,
ever.
I don't think I've played
'cause
it
that
for
was-
a while either.
Because Raymond was one of the ones that came out almost simultaneously on digital download for the Xbox.
It was also one of the first games on the Wii, if I remember correctly. It was
It was
one of
on
the
the-
first good games on the Wii.
The Wii U, yeah.
Yeah. It's
No,
on
no,
the-
I'm thinking like back on the Wii.
yeah.
Like way back when.
I'm talking about Rayman Legends though. Rayman Legends
Yeah.
is on the Wii U,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's also the most awesome game ever. Anyway. Even though I'm mad at it right now.
Trouble in Paradise.
There's Trouble in Paradise.
All right.
I don't have an indie game, so we can skip along.
Boo.
I know, my bad. I'll have 2 next week. I'll have Titanfall and Zoo Tycoon to talk about next week.
Neither of them are indie
Those are indie games.
No. My bad.
All right.
I'm just so pissed off about Science Girls from last time that I can't possibly.
Science Girls.
The worst game I have ever played.
You got to do the pose with it because there's got to be a pose, right?
Science Girls!
I don't have my camera on, so I couldn't see the cheesy pose I just
Oh.
did. That's a good thing, trust me.
Oh my god, I hate video games. Science Girls exhaust me. I'm sorry, can we move on?
Yeah.
All right. So, as Alex Lane promised last time, this week we're talking about gamification. I'm going to be nice. And since this is Alex's idea, I will not start with my spiel about gamification and give her a chance to start with hers as she's sucking down that wine.
Gamification. Let's see. So our topic this week is gamification. If you're not familiar with it, I'm going to be reductive here, but it's essentially the idea of taking components of video games that make them compelling and putting them in an educational setting. The term originated from marketing, where if you remember in like kind of the mid 90s where they started like they would have like your an ad on the side of your screen where you're holding a crossbow and you have to like hit Cupid, and if you do that you like win $50 off whatever crap they're selling, right? And it was a marketing ploy to get you to click basically on their advertisements, and then the idea became extremely lucrative, especially remember late 90s. Yeah, I would click on that stuff constantly, right? Like I didn't care if it brought up an ad, I just wanted to play the stupid little side game. So it became extremely successful. It was proven in a lot of different marketing circles through a lot of different marketing techniques, and then it shifted. It kind of merged with James 12G's work on games and education, and they started looking at how we can take games, like what makes them compelling, what makes them engaging, what makes them interactive, and take those components and shift them to education to make education entertaining and engaging. And so it seems like an amazing idea, I think. Like, well, heck yeah, right? Like, if you made water get me drunk like wine, I would drink water constantly, right? So it seems like an amazing idea.
That doesn't sound alcoholic at all, Alex.
I thought that's what
We're
my
trying not to sound alcoholic because I'm not doing a good job of that. I'm sorry. It seems like a really good idea. Of course, it doesn't work that way when you actually apply those things to education. One person likened it to chocolate covered broccoli. Chocolate's good. broccoli's good for you, but you put chocolate on broccoli, it doesn't make you like broccoli anymore. In fact, it probably makes you hate broccoli a lot more than you did originally, because that's disgusting.
Because now you just ruined good chocolate.
You ruined good chocolate, you ruined good broccoli, and now it's
cheese.
terrible.
Should have used cheese.
Still, that sounds pretty gross.
No.
Broccoli and cheese is not gross.
Broccoli and cheese.
It's also not good
I thought
for
you said
you.
peas, like put chocolate on peas.
There's chocolate and broccoli.
Chocolate on peas sounds disgusting, but
Yeah.
neither here nor there. This is not the point. So you have all of these different educational groups because the White House hired a video game advisor to the White House to try and figure out why games were so engaging for the youth, while education was not. So they hired like this advisor, and they funded all these research projects to try and figure this out. And so you get pretty much everything on the spectrum, from the very, very bad studies which call for, well, you put points on things and you give badges and achievements, instead of giving what you do in education, which is basically the same thing. You give scores and you give grades, which is essentially the same thing. But you just call them something different. Right? You make them look like something different, right? So that's so different, and that will make it engaging. And then you have it all the way up to sort of the really decent studies, which I think me and Sam and our friend Cody Reimer has done a lot of work on, looking at, okay, you can't just put points on something. That's what's been derogatorily called pointsification in the past. You can't just put points on something and automatically think it'll be fun. What you need to do is sort of engage with why the activity isn't engaging in the first place, and you need to look at what is it about a game, not the mechanics, not the surface level, but what is it about the actual actions that make it engaging, and what comes out of it is things like instant feedback. That's one of the things that really we find compelling about games that we lack in education. We don't, like, if you fuck something up in an educational setting, you typically don't get instant feedback. Hey, you messed that up. Do it again. Or essentially what it comes down to is transparency and articulation of what we're actually looking for in education. And then looking at like sort of the constant feedback and evaluation and guidance. Guidance is the word I'm looking for. So your constant guidance. So in a game, you have the system to do that for you. In education, theoretically, you have a teacher to do that for you, which, as you can imagine, is incredibly impossible, because a teacher can't be there 24 hours a day when you finally decide to turn in your annotated bibliography to tell you if it's good or not. And there's no objective system that exists to tell you if your writing is interesting or compelling or persuasive, right? Like, that just doesn't exist. So where the state of, in my opinion, where the state of gamification exists right now is in this weird limbo phase between people in game studies recognizing there's something, in my opinion, something completely unique about video games that make them compelling and engaging. And video games teach things. Undoubtedly, hands down, they teach things. So how do we tie into that and sort of harness that for teaching the stuff we want to learn, we want our students to learn? And nobody's really figured out an answer for that. My hunch is that there is no answer, because anytime you try to make like a spread of do these 10 things and you do these 10 things and you taught somebody something, that's never going to work, right? So it needs to be kind of holistic, it needs to be rhetorical, it needs to be thoughtful. But that is my extremely long intro to gamification. So, not it.
well, let me jump in there, because that was a great intro to gamification.
Yeah,
and it kind of nails it. And
we've been talking about this for about 4 years, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. And like Alex said, a lot of what we've been thinking about in our own research, thinking about in our own classroom teaching, is how games get used, right? In classrooms. And it's amusing now to go to some conferences and to watch the Twitter back channel, and people are making fun of gamification, whereas 3-4 years ago the gamification talks at conferences were packed, absolutely and completely.
To be fair, though, there's a lot of panels that are still like, I tried putting we were at one this year at C's that were like, I tried putting points on things, and I'm trying to articulate why that's valuable to people who give tenure. Help me.
Right, and we were like, well, can you look back to 4 years ago when people were doing that and figured out that didn't work very well?
6 years ago, go back there.
Yeah. But what I'm more interested in now, because people say, oh, so you're doing gamification. No, I don't do gamification. I'm not interested in gamification, except as kind of in a condescending way. But no, I'm kidding. And people say, well, is gamification dead, right? And I don't know that gamification is as a concept, as a larger concept, is dead. Gamification as it's been done is dead, and it's such kind of a heavily laden term at this point that we really just need to get rid of it altogether. So when I talk about it, people think I'm talking about something totally and completely different, because I always say games-based learning. Because for me, that is in essence what gamification should have been from the very beginning, which is not giving people badges and achievements for reading Plato, but more looking at.
I want an achievement for reading Plato. That was painful.
We
went to that conference and that presentation. Do you remember that?
Okay.
She fell asleep. And then we left in the middle. She finished the coffin and we left.
No, I didn't. That wasn't the one I fell asleep in. That was the one we had the coffin fit in and ran out on. And in my defense, I did fall asleep in one gamification session, and it was because Alex Lane had made me have a massage beforehand.
I'm usually willing to take blame for almost anything, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't mine.
I remember that, though.
Free massages. What do you do? What I keep thinking of, I was telling you guys before we started, I just got off this 10-day juice fast. So until today, I hadn't had food for 10 days. I've just been drinking vegetable juice, right? So I can see you shaking your head, Jen. So what it reminds me of is...
I'm thinking about how one of my students just dealt with the whole research thing on fad diets.
Yeah, well, indeed, this would be in there. So what it reminds me of is the reaction you get when you tell someone, I'm vegan, versus telling someone, I eat a plant-based diet. That's what it reminds me of. Like, gamification is this negative word that you immediately sort of have this knee-jerk reaction to. It seems like monolithic, and it seems like dangerous, and it seems disproven in all these different ways as being unhealthy for education. But having a games-based education like Sam's talking about seems all right? Mm-hmm. She went away, so someone else has to respond.
Well, I think some of the excitement that came, like the reason that gamification was such an exciting concept is that people do know that games-based learning works. I mean, they've learned through games. They enjoy games. They have fun with that. That's why they tried this in the first place. I think it comes back to that idea of not really understanding what was causing something to be effective or to be fun. And so they took the surface mechanics with most of the times, especially in pedagogy, with perfectly good intentions.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, but they stepped into it without really taking the time to study how games work and what goes into the making of an effective game. And they took the things that were so surface that it's basically a crappy game design. So it became this bad word because it's like, oh, gamification doesn't work. But no, that's just really shitty game design. You need to understand how to actually do this before you can make it work.
This is what I love about Cody Reimer's dissertation. His dissertation is circling around this issue, which is why I seem like I know what I'm talking about, even though I really don't. I just talk to him all the time. His dissertation
That's exactly what it is.
I know, it really is. And his dissertation is all about making compelling systems. So gamification, if it's going to ever be successful, and the reason why games themselves are successful, he's looking particularly at League of Legends, the reason that it's successful is because it's so well designed. So in order to make a class that has good gamification, which Sarah, you're lucky you got out of you were in my classes after my gamification stage, because you would have been like RPGing and it would have been horrible. But he's looking at like what makes a system compelling rather than what are the mechanics that make it compelling, because Jen's right, that question is false from the beginning. There's not mechanics that make something compelling, there's systems, and there's depth that make something compelling. And that's what pedagogy needs, I think is what you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it ties to, I mean, the whole reason we ended up here in the first place was linking off of our failure talk last week. Mm-hmm. The part of the big problem with the gamification movement is that it tacked game mechanics onto things that had real consequences. So it can't be an effective game if the cost of screwing up is devastating.
Exactly.
Well, that's the old magic circle argument, right?
Right. It tacks it on to real. It tacks it on to kind of real repercussions.
Real
repercussions. I'm sorry, I turned my camera off because my kid ran in the room.
In WoW of my character getting stolen and all their stuff trashed is pretty real.
What? Look, real. onto real repercussions, but not allowing for other kind of game-based activities like learning through failure, right? Like using cheats of different kinds in order to learn the game, right? And we talked about that. It's like, people learn through cheating. Whatever that cheating is, it's like, it becomes this community-based learning experience, right? Because we go to forums, we go to walkthroughs, we go to Let's Plays to learn how to do something, and to help us even in our theory crafting when we play games. But if we do that in your typical meritocratic classroom, then all of a sudden, oh no, that student's cheating, that's going to be a big old problem, right?
Well, and that goes with that bad game design idea as well. The cheating becomes a problem for a game designer when the methods that you need to take to cheat don't fulfill the purpose they were trying to do, which basically means you designed it poorly, because the alternative ways of using the system go with an entirely different lesson. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, as players, we do this all the time. We find the path of least resistance, and our students are going to do the same thing. So if we gamify a system and we do it poorly, they're going to play the system.
I agree to an extent.
It's the smart thing to do.
A well-designed system, which I think is what you're getting at.
Oh,
in a well-designed system, right. You can cheat the system, you can game the system, you can do anything you want, but that won't break the system, it won't negate the system, it won't do anything other than find a new cool path. Which is what I
oversimplified that. I like your...
In like second grade math, right? Like when you come up with a different answer because you did the work in your head and your teacher's like, no, you need to show your work. You're like, shut up, I did it fine, right? Like, why can't I use this method? Like that is like a poorly designed system because it puts all the emphasis on X when you could easily do it with Y.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, sorry, I oversimplified that. I like your phrasing better.
Well, it's collaboration. We collaborated on a good point.
There we go. That's cheating.
And if this was a system that like only monetized or only like thought was valuable a single point, then we would have just negated the system.
Exactly.
And I think the whole thing of it is that when you put that sort of obligation aspect or stress aspect on anything, it just becomes not fun anymore. Like I think it is fair to say that it's that simple, because every time you're expected to do something, or especially if you're going to be doing this and going to be getting a grade for it, then things just don't become fun. And you're just like, you become so focused on doing that and getting it done so that you can get the best grade, that you take whatever steps you need to take to just get that end result, and then you skip the whole process of the learning because you're just trying to get to the end.
Well, and Tony Bushner and I just presented at a grad student conference on using games in the composition classroom. And when we got to the question and answer section, somebody who had come in a little bit late, like the first question that came out was, so how do you assess this?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh goodness, you missed that whole part. You don't. The game assesses it. The game will end up assessing it if the game is designed. You can grade an other activity that uses the skill that the game taught,
Mm-hmm.
but don't attach a grade onto the game, because that, unless it's a participation grade, just because, I mean, you're immediately negating the ability for the game itself to do what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think, but see, that's kind of what we talked about before when we talked about stuff like failure and cheating, is all of this involves totally rethinking our pedagogies, and that's some scary shit for people, right? Because, you know, people have always talked about the student-centered classroom and all this other stuff, and, you know, like kind of, you know, decentering power in the classroom. There is no more decentralizing of power than to say, you know, this is games-based learning in my classroom, and it's all going to depend on the game, because you have no control at that point. And you've got to be okay with that. You've got to be absolutely and completely okay with that. Because for too many people, they feel like that's not teaching, right? You know, because they're still stuck in that old banking model of teaching that this is me, you know, bestowing my great knowledge upon you, and you are a sponge that is going to receive that, right? Rather than recognizing teachers for what they should be, right, which is more facilitators in the learning process, right, there to kind of help guide this learning thing, and help people figure it out along the way by themselves. And I think that people who move more closely with that facilitation model are either loved or hated for it. Right? So it's either like people are like, oh, okay, so I get what you're doing. You're making me figure this out for myself and talking it through with me, but not telling me what to do. Or people are like, well, she didn't teach me anything because she didn't tell me what to do. That's not my job. It's not my job to tell you what to do.
I remember I think it was somebody was telling me once that the best teaching evaluations you can get that are bad are the ones that are, I didn't know exactly what she wanted from me or
Right.
he wanted from me, is the best bad teaching evaluation you can get. Because if someone doesn't know exactly what to do to get the grade, in professional writing and rhetoric, you are teaching what you need to teach then.
Well, I just had the best semester ever. I
Based
taught.
on that, or just
No.
and no one knows what the fuck they're
I
doing.
did
in
it.
I know what I'm doing.
Just FYI, I had the best semester
No,
ever.
I did. I taught for the first time, and it was very scary for me, a Lego Mindstorms project where they had no idea what I wanted, and there was failure built all into it. Failure and chaos, really. And it was just the most... everything what Alex was saying. Like, they don't know what I want. They had to figure it out. And the results are beautiful. So
I would like to think that Sarah is one of the smartest undergraduate students I've ever met in my whole life, and she took 2 of my classes, and I bet I said, figure it out, more than any other phrase. I'm pretty sure that happened, and apparently she did, because you're brilliant.
So, thank you.
Trinity in the graduate program, but I really think figure it out. Like, people just don't deal with uncertainty ever in their lives,
no,
right?
not at all.
No.
So, like, oh, they don't have a tutorial leading them through it? Well, you know, life doesn't have a tutorial. Figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, tutorials are important to give them basic skills. I'm not saying that you should just, like, give someone a stick and leave them in the woods and say, now pass English, but...
Right, you know, here's what this project needs to do. Here's what this project needs to do. Any project in a course needs to demonstrate that you've learned what we've been talking about in the course. Now, however you do that, that is totally and completely up to you.
And we'll learn InDesign, we'll learn design skills, we'll learn crap and hats and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah, the
I'm sure,
resources
Charlotte,
you
that you
need
worked
to get
harder.
it done.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Charlotte, you worked harder in that class than you might have ever worked because all of a sudden, like, you're teaching real stuff instead of here's how to fill in the blanks. Like, that takes a lot of work to get people engaged in that, and that's weird, different, difficult learning than students are used to. There's resistance.
But it's also fun.
And it is fun, and I got the evaluations on the project, and I heard what I expected, which was I didn't know what you wanted, but really, and this will be my plug for the Professional Writing Showcase. If you come next week, you will see the awesomeness that they did, because it's
next week.
Yeah, it's so what they made was so beautiful that I was like, wow.
But that's the ticket, though. Like, my students consistently make better stuff than I could ever direct them to make. Like, everything they make is so much better than I could even conceive of. So if I had made a set of directions for how to make a poster, they would all be fine. They would all be fine.
And they would all look the same. Yeah.
They'd all be the same.
And I've always done that.
Surprised me.
My whole career I have been, and you say your phrase is figure it out. My phrase is it depends. So every time they ask me a question, I say it depends, and they
I
make
personally
yeah,
like
that's
get
mine
better,
too.
but I don't think that's very good pedagogy.
No, mine is
great.
always,
Maybe you get better.
mine is always whatever it needs to be.
Right. Yeah. Well, and when they ask me
graduate.
how long should this be? Well, I mean, I don't know.
However long it needs to be.
I say figure it out.
How many times have you heard me say that one?
A lot. But I will tell you. I will tell you in my plug for the Professional Writing Showcase.
We heard
that my Lego projects are beautiful.
I can't wait to see it.
Are there actual Legos? Actual Legos?
Mindstorms, yes.
They're the robotic Legos.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
They did a beautiful job. I'm so thrilled.
You did a beautiful job teaching.
Yeah, they did a beautiful job.
Good gamification.
No, there was no gamification.
Games-based learning.
Games-based learning. Games-based.
How did we go through this whole discussion without talking about Wolf Quest?
Oh, gosh. I pulled the earbuds out of my ears. I was so excited about Wolf Quest. Let's hear it, Sarah.
Well, I was doing the chapter on gamification, well, one of them anyway, and I used an example of Wolf Quest, which is a game that was put out by, it was like co-sponsored with national parks and Yellowstone and such, to teach about wolves generally wolves in general, I guess. It was a little bit of everything, but specifically how they live and exist in Yellowstone. And so the environment is essentially Yellowstone, and they took actual packs of wolves, the 3 major packs, and put them in the game, and then you play a wolf that's gone out on its own and needs to find a mate, and you can like kill little animals and such, and so you learn about sort of wolf social behavior and wolf tracking, because you can like track other wolves and such, and prey animals, and it got rather crazy when we were playing, but it was entertaining. Did you learn anything about wolves?
That it's really, really hard to find a mate.
Right, and to join a pack if you're not already a part of one, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? This is really interesting too. You know, because I was when you started talking, I pulled it up because I was trying to remember everything I knew about the specifics of the game. But that was done in collaboration with the Minnesota Zoo, Alex Lang. Mm-hmm. So there may be an interesting project.
It didn't make me learn anything about wolves, but it made me go and donate some money.
Well, that too is, I'm sure, one of the purposes of the game.
It has to be. But I had so much fun. I played for a little bit and I got bored, but I watched someone else play, and that was fun.
It's always fun to watch other people play.
It is.
Related. But an interesting, almost pure form of gamification that I've seen that actually worked out really well. I'm going to put it in the chat, a link to it in the chat, but it's Habit RPG. It's seriously almost pure gamification. It's make yourself a role-play character and make all your tasks that you are supposed to be doing in a day into things that will give you experience when you do them. But the difference here, and I think the reason why this has been really working for me and helping me keep on track in the way that it would not in a classroom, is that the motivation behind this is entirely internal.
You choose to do it.
You choose to do it, and you also set what the tasks are, and you set the kinds of rewards that you get from it. So that even if you brought this into a classroom, it would work if the students were the ones saying what they needed to get done and the rewards they got for doing it. It would not work if the teacher set up what the to-do list was and the rewards list was.
Well, it's sort of like the endorphin rush you get from checking off a checklist.
Exactly.
I haven't done this particular one you're talking about. If I've done these before, like you get a point for brushing your teeth, you get a point for whatever.
Right.
And for me, if somebody said, my doctor was like, you should follow this plan, I would hate it.
Yeah,
like yourself, you get this little endorphin rush from it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the nice thing is lists never really worked for me, but because it's got the silly, very obvious translation of game mechanics in, for some reason it works. I don't know. But I think it's really interesting to see how you can do these translations of badges and points and things if you use them right. If you attach them to a design that is also useful for the player.
It's interesting. You showed this to me before, and it made me think about games like Chore Wars, where you got points for doing chores. And we gamify things all the time. I mean, you know, like I said, in a previous life, I was an elementary school teacher. I mean, elementary school teachers have been gamifying stuff for years, right? That's why you always have the star chart in your room.
Let's play a silent game.
When you get X number of stars, we get, you know...
Or the reading thing to have the pizza party with the principal.
Right, or the reading thing to have a pizza party with the principal. I mean, they do it still at schools now. It's like, right, if you read a book every night and you kind of report that you've read a book every night, at the end of the month you get a little coupon for a free, like, personal-sized pizza at the local chain pizza joint.
Oh, that was very easily cheated, though. As somebody I think that came popular when I was in.
Well, this one requires parents to cheat as well, because parents have to sign off on it.
Oh, okay. Because ours, it was like you would take a test, and if you like passed a certain amount, like if you got a certain amount of questions right, then you'd get credit for it, and people would just go on and take as many tests as they could and just guess, and then get as many points as they could.
Oh yes, you know, this one is actually a sheet of paper. You have to color in like each of the bubbles, and your parent has to sign off on it. But like we've also done, we have a book chart at our house that, you know, that is not the because the way that the school does theirs is that you read a book, and this includes the parent, so you can read a book to your child or read a book together, and you get, you know, to color in a bubble. But we have a book chart for P's that she has to read a book in its entirety by herself. Yeah, she's 5. She's in kindergarten. But there are some great new books out there that are meant for beginning readers that even if she doesn't know the words, she can totally and completely sound it out by herself. They're really short books. They're only like 10 pages long. And they're like totally and completely using her sight words. And it's a confidence builder as well as anything else, right? Because when she the deal was when she got to 10 books, she got a small thing, a small reward. When she got to 20 books, she got a larger reward. And when she gets to 40 books, she's going to get this dang Pinkie Pie My Little Pony in a car. Yes, there's a pony driving a car. And this is what she wants for her 40 books. So, you know, and so that I'm not buying gifts every 10 books that she reads, because she's already starting to game the system, right? She's like, oh, we're going to Target tomorrow. I need 3 books to get my next prize. She'll sit down and read 3 books. Now, any other night of the week, it's like, I'm going to read one book, and then you're going to read to me these 5. But
Is that gaming the system in a bad way, though?
It's not.
Because she reads 3 books.
Because she's reading 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
But she is learning to game the system, right? So on a regular night, she'll read one book and then bring me a stack of 5 and say, now read these to me, or we'll read these together. But if she knows we're going to Target tomorrow and she's 2 or 3 books away from her next reward, she will actually sit down and read as many of those books as she can to get that reward. And I'm fine with that, because I think, and she's like, is that okay? I'm like, I'm totally okay. If you got 20 books to get to the next one, you want to sit here and read 20 books, I will listen to all 20.
But that's like what Jen was talking about, like gaming the system, but still fulfilling the goal of the system by gaming it. So are you really gaming the system in that way? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well, here's the problem: is you're thinking gaming the system is a bad thing.
Right.
It's not necessarily, right?
Not
That's why I said we have got to rethink our own pedagogy. We have got to rethink and say, cheating is not a bad thing if it is achieving something that we want to achieve in the end.
And we presented it this
It's not a bad thing.
3 years ago. Remember?
Exactly. Yeah.
Gaming the system in a systems of games. When the system is a game itself, you can't cheat it. You
Right.
can only accomplish things in a different way that might accomplish the same goals in the first place.
Right. I mean, and this is the thing, is that we have got to realize and rethink our pedagogy so that when our students ask, is it bad that, I'm working with these other students and looking through these Let's Plays or whatever they are in the situation that they're in and going to forums and asking questions? No, hell no. That's doing the kind of research you need to achieve your goal. We have got to start rethinking that and saying, screw this idea of, the solitary scholar doing this work all on their own. It doesn't work like that anymore. And I don't know if it ever did. So, if my kid wants to sit there and read 40 fucking books the night before we go to Target so she can get Pinkie Pie in a fucking car, I'm going to sit there and listen to 40 books.
And you know what? At the end of the night, she read 40 books.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you get to buy her a toy, which is you like to do anyway.
I know. And that's terrible. I'm a sucker. But I'm sorry.
Well, ladies, since I have 3 wonderful teachers and 1 wonderful student here to even ask, I've been considering doing an assignment with mine where plagiarism was literally the assignment. Attempt to completely plagiarize, just steal things to the point where I can't figure out what you did. And
Right.
the ones that manage to hide it the most, by the end of it, to say, okay, you just did research, you just didn't put the citations.
Right. You paraphrased. You
research. You made sure that you got real information. You made it sound like you. You unified the voice. You did all of these things. You put all this work into fooling me. You didn't actually fool me. What you did is you did research.
Yeah. And then they're gonna be pissed at you.
That's risky, but I support it 100%.
Me too. That's awesome.
because I've never really been terribly offended by plagiarism. Unless a student really came at it with a massive attitude. Because 9 times out of 10, the students I've caught plagiarizing have either done it out of accidentally or have done it out of, fear or stress or various other motivations that I completely understand, even if it was not the smartest move.
You have a heart as a teacher? Unbelievable.
No, but I never really understood getting offended by it.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of works with there's that article, The Phenomenology of Error, talking about how people get offended over grammar mistakes as if it's this horrible thing. How dare you waste my time? And it's like, why is this such a huge crime?
I don't personally get offended by plagiarism, but I think where a lot of people do, particularly people based in literature and writing backgrounds, is because their only currency is authorship and attribution for their work.
Right.
So it's not necessarily anything to do with pedagogy, anything to do with the student, anything to do with any of that, but they just deeply, deeply believe that someone's work needs to be their own, and it's a huge violation of your personal property and your personal right as an artist for putting something out there to have someone take it.
And I do fully understand that. I mean, my best friend is an artist, and I've watched her deal with some of the terrible things that happen when people just grab it and run off.
Yeah.
And just it's not my personal thing either. I could give a crap less. I mean, I obviously uphold the ideals of it, but.
And so that's why obviously, like, if I did a plagiarism assignment, the goal would then to be coming back and talking about, okay, so what's really wrong with plagiarism? Like, why is this a bad thing?
I like that idea.
Okay, but it sounds like it could be a workable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Concept. Okay, cool.
Again, not as an administrator. I think it sounds fucking fabulous. I might do it someday. I mean, really, like,
please do.
How better to learn something than by failure?
Are you using a reward then for best discrete plagiarizer, or?
I haven't been able to fully plan it out yet, but there would probably be some kind of reward outside of the actual
credit point, which never means anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Extra credit point, or like a candy or something. I don't know.
I encouraged, not encouraged. That's sort of, yeah. I a little bit encouraged plagiarism in my Lego assignment because we were doing usability, and if you're thinking about making a robot for people who are just going to be on the internet and they're going to go and find the instructions or whatever, you have to think about the usability of that. Like, what do they want? Me as a Lego user, I don't want it to be too difficult. So if you can just point me to where the program is and I can download it, then let's do that, right? So I kind of encourage that. So if you can find a program and we can download it and we can make it work, then yeah, okay, that's what I want. Because that's
maybe one of the difference between professional writing and creative writing.
It might be, yeah.
Although creative writing really is the same way, it's just not articulated as much. It's not as safe as it is in professional writing.
Right, when you're a professional writer, writing you don't cite.
Well, and when you're a professional writer, you often don't get credit for anything. It's not like your name goes on the manual that you write for a machine.
No.
So there's different sense of authorship.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do cite in creative writing, though. Like if it was such an influence on you that you.
Right. Sometimes they'll put it in the intro, or or we'll talk about it in interviews and say where they got that inspiration. But I mean, like, we teach in-text citation and works cited in bibliographies, and that's a very, very different
and you don't get that in creative writing. And I mean, to be perfectly honest, and I'm horrible to say this, how many people read the intros or the acknowledgments on a novel?
Depends on the author, but your point is usually correct.
But it's also not the history of creative writing, right?
Right.
Like you used to not cite at all because you didn't have access to those texts. So you would say very obvious hints and quotes and stuff, but you would never put quotes around it. I mean, there's that stuff rampant to show, look at all the stuff I'm referring to.
Well, and I feel like I should say, too, that the Lego stuff is not necessarily plagiarism so much as it's open source. It's right there for everybody to use.
It doesn't seem like plagiarism to me.
No.
So, yeah, I'm like, I don't want to be like, I'm telling my students plagiarize, but it's open source. It's right there. They put it there because they want you to use it, which is part of where the whole thing is changing right now, right?
Yeah, it's acknowledging that information is meant to be communicated and shared, and that what we want them to do is we want them to communicate, we want them to share, we want them to participate, and then put their own creations back out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, with gaming and quote-unquote plagiarism, I know, like, with Minecraft, I had a lot of fun, designing things on my own, but I got into a rut where everything I would design would look exactly the same because I had one way that it worked for me, and I got bored. So then it was going onto forums and seeing what other people did, and sometimes it was to copy them directly. But sometimes it was like, oh, well, I like this feature from this and this feature from that, and I stick them together.
Yeah.
And it just kind of makes me think back to when I was in 6th grade. I actually did a young author contest, and I won one of the prizes for it. And my teacher came to me later and said, oh, well, the the judging committee actually thought that you had plagiarized this, that you had stolen this, and I had to assure them that no, this is how you actually wrote. And I'm so glad I didn't say anything, because part of me, like little sixth grade me, in a panic was like, oh my God, but I did plagiarize. Because what I had done is I'd taken the Romeo and Juliet plot, and I had the names Shasta and Erebus from C.S. Lewis's Horse and His Boy. And in my mind, the fact that I took the names and the most common love story plot ever and put them into this story, well, obviously I did copy, and I just didn't want to get in trouble, so I didn't say anything to my teacher. And I think sometimes that's still how we approach plagiarism at this level. Like, oh my God, you stole this one thing. You know, how dare you? Everything that you did is now invalidated. And it's like, well, wait a second. This has been writing for forever. This is what we do.
That's so funny that you said that, because that same exact thing happened to me with the Never-Ending Story.
Really?
Yeah, I like submitted a thing and I won, and they're like, but it sounds like the Never-Ending Story, and I was like, well, all right.
Well, I mean, but that's not plagiarizing, right?
I know, right?
Right, that's being influenced by, and that's what, I mean, and that's kind of part of what we've been talking about, like in our games rhetoric and play class, right? This semester, as people are starting to develop their games, it's like, yeah, I kind of took this element from this game and this element from that game and this element from this game, and put them together, and then put this spin on it and put my narrative on top of it and made something totally and completely different, right? I mean, it's what we've been for the last 10 years, right, calling remix culture. But then at the same time, if you think back and you look at those games that you're pulling elements from to make your game, or look at those stories that you're pulling elements from to make your story, they've come from somewhere else too.
Yeah, because Shakespeare plagiarized like crazy. It was amazing.
The whole thing is that, like they say, the original ideas don't really exist anymore because it's been done in some way, in some sense, and you have to find new ways to take those ideas and represent them.
That's what I was thinking. They say, like, how many new ideas are there? There's no new ideas.
Yeah, you just approach it in a different way, or write it in a different way. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like we got to think about all those different things. Is that there's is there nothing new under the sun? There may be new ways to get at it, but interestingly enough.
I mean, I'm sure something exists, but the chance of you finding that thing that's just never been done before.
Yeah, that might happen.
Maybe.
All right. Well, that was interesting. I'm interested to see, what kinds of conversations come up online about games and gamification, to see how people respond to kind of what we've said as well, because that's always fun. So, Alex, thanks for coming up with the idea of doing gamification. That was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, woo.
You get no points for that.
No. We're not going to gamify the podcast.
Wasn't a very enthusiastic woo.
No. Oh my God!
Big old shush.
You're gonna freak out your dog.
I did. Do you hear him?
Yep. So.
Sorry, I have a special guest.
I was looking at something else. I missed it.
Oh, he's.
Oh, hello, special guest.
Where are you? Come here. Come be in the camera.
Aw, kitty.
Sleepy.
Cat's like, leave me alone. I'm going to sleep.
I know. He's like, put me down.
Yeah, he crawled into my lap and decided that now is the time.
Special guest time.
At least
He's got like a psycho.
I'm small. You're real small. Everyone's a small.
Poor small. Oh, Jesus. At least start sleeping and not playing with squeaky toys, so we're good there.
He's like, at least leave me with some of my dignity.
She has no dignity. She just likes attention.
Yeah.
Bad eye.
All right.
Anyway,
So,
sorry. Deals of the week. I messed up.
yeah, Charlotte, give us our deals for broke ass gamers this week.
Well, the biggest deal for broadcast gamers is Target's buy two get one free.
Oh, I gotta make sure I stay out of Target.
I know. Well, they don't have anything anyway. That's the problem. They don't have what I want because they don't have. Well, that's not fair. Nobody has Vita games. So anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, buy two get one free. Obviously, the typical thing applies. Whatever is the cheapest will be free.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I found was the Humble Bundle is not the greatest. In my opinion, it's not the greatest this week, but it did have Typewriter, which I wanted, which is fun.
Dumb.
It's not dumb. It's a font game. You can teach it.
Oh,
It's
God.
not dumb.
Just the idea of a font game.
It's actually really beautiful. I'm not gonna lie.
think
It's
it's
beautiful.
cool.
It's beautiful. It has great music. I think it would be good for students if you're trying to teach them about it because it has a lot of history.
How
But
much
having-
is it?
Well, the Humble Bundle is pay what you want. So,
Oh, okay.
and it comes with other games that I haven't heard of, but I don't know. It was like $6.50 on Steam. So pay what you want. I don't know.
Well, it does. The Humble Bundle also has like Broken Sword 2, which is kind of a good series of RPGs that have been around forever.
I was interested in that one, but I didn't know what it was about. So.
And if you beat the average, which right now is $3.91, you also get Kingdom Rush, which is a good game. I've got it on my iPad and on my Android phone, and it's a fun game to play. It's a tower defense game.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like those, but yeah.
It's like, I don't like those, but if that's your thing.
No, I don't like that. I don't, but I was interested in Broken Sword 2.
Mm-hmm.
I was really excited about Typewriter because I had heard about it and I wanted to play it, but I don't want to pay for it. So anyway, it was
a fun one.
I will say this about Typewriter 2 is the soundtrack is excellent, and I put it on my iPod. So there's that, and it comes with it in this.
Fancy.
Nice.
And then the other thing I thought was interesting was Best Buy has the 2K experience for $10, which includes BioShock, Borderlands, and XCOM. Not real recent games, but for basically
Enemy Explorer?
No.
The first one. Well, not the first one. The first remade one.
Yeah.
Enemy Unknown, I mean.
Enemy, yeah.
But if you haven't played
That's a good game. That's an amazing game.
If you haven't played them, $10 for. But you get all three. You get
Oh,
BioShock, Borderlands, and XCOM.
Is that PC? That's PC.
No, it's PS3 and Xbox 360.
nice.
I highly recommend doing that because XCOM Enemy Unknown is one of my favorite games.
And I feel the same way.
Where is that?
Best Buy, and I feel the same way about BioShock.
Yeah, me too.
Is this the original BioShock?
Yes.
Yeah, that is one of the best ones.
It is a very good game.
Yeah, so you have the original BioShock, original Borderlands, I guess, and then XCOM.
Nice.
Best Buy, $9.99. So.
Nice.
So?
Who would have thought Best Buy?
Yeah.
I like Best Buy.
I wouldn't say all that.
I do. I would.
One of the people helping pick their CEOs was a big help with my diss. So, heat on them.
Well, here's another interesting thing is that some of the games that are on sale on PlayStation Network this weekend are some good buys. One of the best games that I have played on my Vita has been Persona 4 Golden.
Yes.
Which is the Vita version of Persona 4, which
terrible
to my understanding.
Oh, come on.
It's a
Persona 4
great
is
game.
Alex doesn't like JRPG, so she doesn't count.
I accidentally used all of you.
She's such a hater.
I
It's
know.
a good game. It's a
I'll
great
admit
game.
I haven't played that one. I played Persona 3. But.
Persona
it's a great
4 is on sale on PlayStation Network for $9.99.
Okay. Well, the other thing I was going to say, too, is the Humble Bundle weekly sale is interesting because it has, I don't know the other games, but it has Pixel Junk Monsters and Hotline Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But those were free on the Vita, so
Always good choices.
yeah.
Yeah, Persona 4 Golden was definitely a really good game. If you've got a Vita, pick it up definitely. If you don't, pick up Persona 4. I might pick up Persona 4 for the PS3 anyway, just to play through it again because it's got more content than Golden. And I have sunk a lot of time in Golden.
It's a great game, despite what Alex says.
Ugh.
Alex
Yeah,
hasn't
get
played
over
it,
it.
so she's not allowed to say anything. Nothing.
Played
I
300
think
games.
I'm
just like
definitely
it.
going to have to get that. Damn
I
it, you
like,
guys, I don't have that much money.
but it's so good. Like you lose so much time. I mean, that's
And
not a good. That's not an
$10.
endorsement, I guess. But
Yeah, that's $10 definitely worth spending.
yeah,
Look at all the time you lose.
yeah. But it'll be fun time. So
It's
No.
happy fun time.
The paper I still haven't finished for Rick.
well, he's not listening. I promise. So just go buy it.
Yeah, no, he's not listening. You're good.
Oh, that was a good one.
I'm just saying.
Evil laugh.
Oh my. So on that note,
I mean, it's totally done.
it's
Yeah,
totally,
right.
totally and completely complete. Yeah, absolutely. On that note, those are our deals for Broadcast Gamers this week. Thank you very much, Charlotte. And as always, we welcome your emails, your voicemails, your video mails, whatever you want to send us. You can send them to us at nymgamer@gmail.com if you want to use email. Or you can use the cool little flyout for voicemail on the Not Your Mama's Gamer blog officially, as well as the nice little voicemail applet on our Facebook page. Just search for Not Your Mama's Gamer on Facebook. You will find us. We have you should be visiting or definitely getting our blog posts via your RSS reader daily, as we have our wonderful pithy posts on a daily basis that come between your bi-weekly treat that is the podcast. It's a treat. Just say that to yourself over and over again. You can also follow us on Twitter at NYMGamer. And if Twitter, Facebook, or email are not your thing, you can always follow us on Tumblr at nymgamer.tumblr.com. Are those all the ways to get to us? I think so.
Yeah.
Yep. And we ran a contest last week for Titanfall swag. We're doing, we're having fun doing more contests and more tournaments as well. Alex
We had our first Hearthstone tournament.
ran a Hearthstone tournament. We got another one coming up soon-ish.
It was
Except for she's going to roller derby this weekend, so it won't be this weekend. But we have another Hearthstone tournament coming up, as well as another contest coming up, and we always post those both on the blog and on our Facebook page and on Twitter. So those are all good reasons to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and read the blog daily to come up with those interesting, see what those interesting contests are. Because we gave away some pretty cool Titanfall swag that included an e-guide book, a Titanfall wristband, and a Titanfall lanyard, all in one neat little packet. And Patrick was actually the winner of that one. So we'll have another contest coming up soon, as well as keep an eye out for our rescheduled Hearthstone tournament, where there will be a prize to be won, usually. Yeah, keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. Fun stuff going on, definitely. Spread the word. Tell all your friends about Not Your Mama's Gamer, because you know what? We're awesome, and they should be listening to us and reading us, too.
Indeed.
Um,
Agreed.
so, until next time, uh, stay warm, stay dry, and as always, folks, guess what?
Game on!
Come on!
Game
Game on.
on.